Hi, in this video I will be experimenting with 3 of these lovely Plaguebearers. With each one of them I'm gonna do something new for me. At the same time trying to show you some cool color schemes. Also I will be trying to finish them in an hour or so, which is pretty fast for me. For the first guy, the main new thing will be contrast paints. What? What's new in contrast paints? They have been here for 4 years. Believe it or not, I have never before used this range. I'm not sure why, maybe because I thought they were for beginners, or I was just being screwed. Anyways, I finally bought this one special contrast paint, which I think suits this exact model best. With the first guy I wanted to go simple, just classic box art color scheme. I primed the model with Corax White. After that, time has come to use the contrast paint. Immediately after putting this paint on the model, I understood why people like this paint range so much. It easily went into all the recesses, at the same time keeping good opacity. I already like how his skin looks, and if I was short on time, I would probably left it like that. However, I decided to do some highlighting. For that, I'm mixing Vallejo's yellow green with Citadel's screaming skull. Next, I'm covering those open flesh parts with Carobaric Crimson shade. And later, also with Druhi Violet. While the washes are drying, I'm painting his sword with Abaddon's black. Back to his swords and flesh. I'm highlighting them with mix of pink horror and screaming skull. And after that I added a bit of ice yellow too. Later I'm edge highlighting the sword with Cantor's blue, Lothern blue and blue horror. And finally I covered it with Drakenhof nightshade. His horn and spine, I'm gonna wet blend, starting with Ushab Deepone, going through Tumble Brown, and finishing with Rhinox Hide. One last little detail are larvae in his mouth. I quickly painted them with some yellow and ice yellow. After that was done, I could say that the mini was painted, and I painted it in less than an hour. Coming up with a color scheme for the second Plaguebearer wasn't as easy as for the first one. Then I thought about what would be special about the second guy, and I decided that it would be something similar to OSL. And after some thinking, I came up with the idea of painting this mini like if it was a glowing ghoul from Fallout video game series. After recording some footage from the game and then studying it, I knew what I will be doing. I primed the model again with white spray. The first step will be painting all the recesses with yellow-green. Throughout this whole painting process, I will be doing something like reverse highlighting, starting with bright color and then going with darker and darker shades. Next, I'm painting with mood green, leaving the recesses bright. After that, I'm painting with intermediate green. Later will be Caliban green. Whenever I see that the transition between colors is too harsh, I'm going back to the previous color and I glaze it until the blend is smooth enough. After that step, I'm mixing Glacium medium with yellow-green. This mix should easily flow into all the recesses, boosting up the glow effect. While that is drying, I will be painting the sword and his horn. This procedure will be almost the same as with the previous Plaguebearer. Before I edge highlight those parts, I am stippling mix of black and green onto his skin. This way, I am adding interesting texture. Back to his sword and horn. I am edge highlighting them with different shades of green. Remember that the light is coming from the Plaguebearer, so edges closest to the hilt should be the brightest. Then I decided to give the light source some extra pop by adding some white. One last little detail was to paint his spine. After that, the mini was finished. Of course, later, to reinforce the glow effect, I will need to make a suiting base. With the last guy, I wanted to try Zenital Highlight. That was an easy choice. However, I couldn't decide what colors to use. I was thinking between some warm orange based color scheme or cold blue based color scheme. It was really hard decision, so I did what every tabletop fan would do in that scenario. I threw a dice and it landed on warm color scheme, so I'm going with orange. After priming with Mechanicus Standard Grey and then spraying white Zenital, I started to create some kind of DIY contrast. I mix Cassandra Yellow, Averland Sunset, Mephiston Red and Lachiam Medium. It definitely isn't a good substitute, but it works well enough. I'm generously covering the menu with this mix. After the whole mini is covered and dry, I decided to bring out shadows on him by adding Dragonhof Nightshade to already established places by Zenital. And also, I added in the same places Druhi Violet. The mini already looks better, however I think that I can still improve its contrast, so I am stippling with Ice Yellow. At that point I also realized that the color scheme isn't so warm as I wanted it to be. Well, I guess I will stick to that now. After his skin is painted, it is time for his more fleshy parts, which I am painting with Carbark Crimson. I also covered his sword and horns in it. Next, I am edge highlighting the previous parts with Think Horror. Later, I mixed some Arctic White with the pink. After those steps, the mini would be finished. However, after attaching the arm, I realized that I messed up the Zenital with it, so I quickly fixed that, and the mini was truly finished. Now, when all of the 3 Plaguebearers are done, I will be making some simple bases. I am applying Agerland Balanced texture paint. After it is dry, I am dry brushing it with first sundry dust and then second push up the bone. And of course a quick painting the rim. With the second base, I wanted to continue with the Fallout theme, so I will be trying to recreate the glowing sea. This time, I am not only applying Agerland Badland, but also this Vallejo's ground texture. I am base coating it with a mix of Rhinox hide, Mechanicus standard grey, and a bit of Caliban green. I added Averland Sunset to the mix and then painted with it those other parts. Later, I dry brushed them with pure yellow. After that, I started working on green glow effect by dry brushing Caliban green around his feet. I quickly went back to those yellow parts and I covered them with Rekland Flesh Shade. I am dry brushing intermediate green and after that yellow green. After those two steps, this simple OSL effect should be finished. One last thing I decided to do was to again dry brush yellow parts and to dry brush the dirt with Administratum Grey. For the last guy, I was being spontaneous, and I was just doing what I thought would fit. I applied PVA glue and put some sand. After that I sprayed it with Chaos Black, and later I am dry brushing with mix of Mechanicus Standard Grey and Evil Sun Scarlet. After that I added Averland Sunset to the mix and dry brushed with it. And finally I dry brushed with Screaming Skull. And now all the minis and the bases are done, and here is the reveal how they look. I have really enjoyed painting those minis. Also, I'm really happy that I have managed to paint each one of them in an hour or so, which is pretty fast for me, considering that normally it takes me like 2 weeks. I also really liked how contrast paints work, so I will be definitely using them more often. Painting those minis in different and unique color schemes was something new and refreshing. I hope that you have enjoyed this video and maybe learned something new. If you do, please like and subscribe. I'm still new to YouTube, so please be sure to give me some feedback on how can I improve my videos. So thanks for watching and see you next time.